Thanks. Welcome, everybody, and thank you once again for being here and your coverage of Wake Forest football. We're really proud of our entire program. It begins with our student athletes, our players, the incredible effort they've made all year, our coaching staff, our support staff. From day one, we've tried to build an inclusive program that everybody feels part of and responsible for our success. Our community, our students, our faculty, our administration, and I think what has happened this year and what's happened the past 6 years is just an incredible collaborative effort that if you took one element out of it, it wouldn't have happened. And even our former players, Cade Carney, to have him in the locker room, and Cam Serenay and Ryan Javion was with us up in Boston and did the chapel the night before the game and was on the sideline for us. And it's special that those guys know that what they did here in the early years built a foundation for allow us to be in this position. So all these people are part of our success, and we want to thank all of them. And our students this year have been incredibly supportive, and we even had a great crowd up in Boston. Really, on our sidelines, it felt like a home crowd. So it was a special day for our program, but we have to turn the page, and the 24-hour rule still is in effect. We're certainly proud of all of our players that made all ACC today. I think it was a record. So we had 15 guys make all ACC, and very deserving, and all the other, all ACC players. It's a great football league, very talented, and we appreciate our guys being recognized as some of the very best players in the league, which they are. Just wrapping up BC, I thought it was one of our more complete games. I thought our defense played. Again, they responded, to bounce back from Clemson and to play the way they played. 3 turnovers, 9 of 10 on third downs. Other than some quarterback runs that we got squared away later, the pass defense was incredible. Just really played super football. And the plus 3 turnovers were huge offensively. Again, put up 40 points. Usually we're not a big time of possession team, but we won the time of possession, and I've never seen a drive that you take up 9.5 minutes and go 27 yards. When I looked at the end of the game, I was watching the offensive film, and it's 9.5 minutes, and it goes to game over. And then usually when you do that, you're driving 70, 80 yards, and that was 27-yard drive, so that's probably hurts our efficiency rankings for people who are into analytics, but that was a great drive. And really what didn't get overlooked by us was how critical our special teams were. We did a great job covering punts, covering kicks. Taylor Marin did a fabulous job of catching the football in difficult circumstances. There was a lot of wind. Certainly a BC player at one point didn't handle it well, and we were able to pin him in there. Taylor did a great job of handling it and got some big punt returns and some kick returns. So again, we've got to turn the page, and we've got the reward for a big game and a big win is another big game. And we are exactly where we want to be when the season started, in the ACC championship game. We're excited to see Deacon Nation be in full force. Certainly the last time we played a bowl game down there, without fans and COVID, but 17, the Belk Bowl, it felt like a home venue. One of the issues that we really have run into in this game with tickets is, as you know, the ACC has a very close affiliation with ESPN through the ACC network. And so when we first got our ticket allotment, the ACC only allotted us 6 tickets for our entire fan base. And, they said that, hey, ESPN is the worldwide leader, and somebody who's a very, respected journalist and does a great job and is extremely knowledgeable about college football. I I didn't see it. I guess they said that we only had 6 fans. And so our allotment was only for 6 tickets. Fortunately, we sold those 6 tickets, rather quickly. And we asked the ACC to do a little bit more research that we thought, for bowl games and stuff like that traditionally we probably sold more than 6 tickets. And then they did this deep search and they read an article in The Athletic on bowl projections. And The Athletic, as you know, is an online publication, and they really do a fabulous job of covering college football. They got really good writers like Bruce Feldman and Matt Fortuna and Andy Staples, Grace Rainier. But one of their writers wrote, and I guess it's not in print because it's online, that we only sold 40 tickets for bowl games. So the ACC took that information and then only gave us 34 more tickets, saying that we probably wouldn't sell, we sold more than 6, but not more than 40 because they read that. And I was confused because I went back and I watched our Military Bowl and our Belk Bowl, and I counted the people in the stands, and I thought we had more than 40 people there. So then at that point, the ACC actually gave us the full allotment of 5,500 tickets, and we instantly sold it out. And then they gave us another 3,500 tickets, and they instantly sold it out. And so we've completely sold out 2 allotments of our tickets. 2,000 students bought tickets within 45 minutes of the tickets even being open. We'll have over 3,000 students there who bought tickets. We expect to have over 25,000 Demon Deacon fans. And so again, Wake Forest as a school is different. We do have a small enrollment. We don't have 60,000 students. But the passion of our fan base, we may not have the numbers, but the passion, how much they care about our program, is certainly equal to a lot of other schools. And so I really appreciate the ACC of recognizing that and, increasing the allotment from 6 to 40 to 5,500 to 9,000. So, okay, good, on to Pitt. What's that? Yeah. No, he does a great job, and most everything he says is factual, but that one little fact, I don't know if the researchers for game day got that one right, so I'm sure they got to get on somebody. They shouldn't go on the air with information unless it's accurate. So anyways, on to Pitt. Like I said earlier in the week, I've known Pat Narduzzi for over 25 years, and Pat's done a great job there. Pat's a good guy, excellent football coach. He's done a great job with the Pitt program. You never get to a conference championship game and not play a team that isn't really skilled and well coached. Offensively, what can you say about Kenny Pickett? What a phenomenal year, what a phenomenal career. He doesn't get sacked. It's going to be his 37th start. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. Just has had an amazing career there. And when he came back last year, I thought that was great. I thought that was good for college football and good for the ACC. And now I don't know how good it is that he came back. Kind of wish he'd have left now, but he's done a great job. And their receiver, Jordan Addison, all their skilled guys. Jordan is as good as any receiver we've ever played here. He reminds me a lot of the Christian Kirk guy that we played against Texas A&M in the Belk Bowl that we had more than 40 fans at. And then Shockey Jock Louis, really good player. Jared Wayne, Sear Mack, they're very skilled. Their tight ends, they got 2 excellent ones. The Kroll guy is a 6'6", 260. The other tight end, Bartholomew, is going to be a great player. He's only a freshman, but he is extremely skilled. Running back like us is by committee. They have over 3 backs with over 450 yards and over 90 carries. And this is a very well coached. This is one of the top 1, top 2, top 3 O-lines that we've played. This is an older football team. People say we're older. They're much older than us. They got 8 senior starters on offense. Defensively, they're extremely aggressive. That's Pat's style. The corners are going to be up in your face. We're going to have to get released. They run a lot of pressures. Their front gets very good pressure, even with a four-man rush. The Cansey guy was an all-ACC player. He's outstanding. The field end, Baldonado, we think is one of the top pass rushers in the ACC. The linebackers are extremely productive, and the corners, Mathis and Williams, are, you can't play that defense without corners, and those guys are really good. And certainly Brandon Hill and Hallett are very productive safeties. Their special teams coordinator, Andre Powell, we've known him for years when he was at North Carolina and other places, and he does a great job. They're really well coached. The skill of their returners, certainly Addison is a punt returner, is a big, he's a weapon back there. And number 2, Israel, I can't pronounce his last name. I don't want to mess it up and be disrespectful, is an excellent kick returner for them as well. So they do a great job in all 3 phases. This will be a great test for us, but we're excited. We're still playing football. It's game 13, and we're happy to be there, but we're not just happy to be there. It's very important to our players that we go there and play well, and our goal was to win an ACC championship, and we're fortunate to have that opportunity, and we certainly want to make the most of it.
Is there a balance to strike between getting your guys to kind of embrace the idea of being 60 minutes away from a season-long goal and still taking it as just one game that's go one another?
I mean, really, Connor, it's the setup isn't any different than a week ago. We are playing a away road game to win a championship. So that was the scenario a week ago. So there's a big picture part of it that our players are aware of. They knew last week we had to win it to win the Atlantic. But then once you define the big goal, now you've got to go execute the game plan and study the film and have a great week of practice. And you got to go out there and execute, and you got to execute against a 10-2 football team. And so, there's always going to be a big picture. I mean, everything we do is, the talent, discipline, and leader. I mean, everything that we do as a program is geared towards trying to win a championship. But there's the million little steps you got to take to get there. And so you're not going to win a championship. You've got to make first downs. You got to execute, and there doesn't change once you're in a conference championship game. And so, we always have a big picture, 10,000-foot goal. But in terms of our weekly habits and routine, we focus on the details that win football games.
Does having an experienced team help in keeping that focus?
I think it does, but we play a very experienced team. Kenny Pickett, those guys have been there, right? They were in the championship game in 2018. A lot of these seniors were there. This is the first time any of our guys have been at that game, and it's not a bowl game. This is different. This is a road championship game. So, we're not going to Disney World or SeaWorld or, taking a car around a racetrack. This is different. We're going to have a bowl experience. This is not a bowl game. This is a championship football game on the road. So we're not changing our routine at all from what we normally do on a Friday, Saturday if we played NC State or Duke or any team, Army. It's the same routine.
Speaking of playing Pitt in 2018, you saw Kenny Pickett then.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've had some time since Sunday afternoon to evaluate him, I guess is the difference night and day as it would seem looking at the stats?
No, he's an advanced quarterback. There's a lot of familiarity with their staff. Pat Narduzzi was the defensive coordinator at Rhode Island. Mark Whipple was the head coach at Brown, the head coach at UMass. Had many battles with those guys, with him. Mark coached the Steelers quarterback, was a coordinator at Miami, and is a brilliant, he's a Brown graduate, and he's a brilliant offensive football coach. And what he's done with Kenny Pickett and how he's advanced him and the offense, he's done an amazing job. He's an excellent football coach. And then Randy Bates together with Pat on the defense. So, I'm not surprised. If you look at Mark Whipple's history, he's always made quarterbacks productive. I feel the same way about Warren. If you look at Warren's track record with quarterbacks, if Warren Magiro is coaching you as a quarterback, you're probably going to get better. You could say the same about Mark Whipple.
Dave, is there an area with Sam when you're talking about advanced quarterback that you could say this is the one or two areas I think he made the biggest leap in? I mean, he was already experienced, but to do what he's done this year, or is it more than that?
I think that balance of being aggressive but not forcing throws. As a quarterback, you got to play aggressive and you got to play on the edge, and guys aren't going to be wide open. But it's not forcing those throws out of frustration or trying to force a play that isn't there. And I would say the other thing that I think Sam has just made incredible strides at is just the amount of plays that he's made with his feet. I mean, he's rushed for over 10 touchdowns. How many first downs has he converted with his feet? Those were things that when he played in 18, he never did. And he's become a really smart quarterback in the pocket. He makes very good pocket decisions. So that has really improved. And I would just say the same about Kenny Pickett. He sees blitzes, he can read coverage, he knows how to create time and space, he plays with courage. I think him and Sam are very similar. That's your first and second team all ACC quarterbacks. That you have two guys that are competitors, that play with courage, that make plays with their feet, and have great arm strength and can make every throw.
Okay, with the early signing period and all the high-profile coaching vacancies that are out there, what are your thoughts on so many big moves, games still have to be played, and kind of the chaotic nature of the coaching carousel this year?
I think people who are in charge of this really have to look at this and say, this is broken. I mean, it used to be that you recruited for the season. And now with the early signing date, I mean, you have coaches getting fired in September and October and guys getting hired for jobs and their teams have a chance to make the playoffs. It's broken. It is completely broken. And, the early signing date for coaches that stay in one place is very convenient. But the unintended consequence of that is you got to fire your coach in November or October so you can start your search and hire them the Monday after the season's over so you don't lose a recruiting class. And, it's the system. And I don't know the particulars of any of these coaching moves or why they left. I don't have those type of relationships, and if I did, I wouldn't share it anyways. But, to the Notre Dame players, they still have a chance to make the playoffs. And now they don't have their head coach. And, that triggers of what's going to happen with this coach who still has a team that could be in the playoffs. I mean, it's supposed to be about the season. That's why we do this. We recruit and we have spring football and we have guys here for the summer so you can maximize your season. And it's broken. It is completely broken. And I think it's awful, and I think people in charge of this need to look at it and fix it. That have, I don't know, and maybe it's a violation of antitrust or whatever, but have some type of rule that, you can't fire your coach till a certain point. It's not fair to the players. When Texas Tech is 5-3 and fires their football coach, they could still win 9 games. I mean, those players worked all off season for that coach and that coaching staff. It just, it's really, I think it's sad. I really do. It is, I think, completely broken. And, the adults in charge need to fix it because it's not fair to the student athletes. It really isn't. And, it just seems like everything now is about recruiting, the early signing day, get rid of your coach, have a guy in place. What about all these players that were committed to Notre Dame with Brian Kelly? Do they have a spot? Do they not? When are they going to hire their coach? Do they want to play for the new head coach? It just, Again, I like the early signing date from a convenience standpoint, but I think this is the reason all these things are happening. Put it back in February. Let the market have a chance to sort out. Let the players have a chance to sort out who's where. So, again, I'm not aware of any of those individual situations. I just think it's not good for college football when a team that can make the playoffs loses their head coach, or coaches. I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I left Bowling Green 2 days after winning the championship, and I didn't get to coach the team in the bowl game. So, I mean, it's, I'm not above it. I did the same thing. So I guess in that way, I'm kind of a hypocrite. But it's the system, and it needs to be fixed.
Maybe you've been here for a while, there's sort of been a patient build, building over time. Pat's been at Pittsburgh. It's not like one of these programs where there's been a coaching change 2 years later, there's a, sudden uptick. Do you like it? How good is it, I guess, to see, conversely, programs that kind of stuck with it, more patient, being rewarded with an ACC championship game after?
So I would say to you, what 4 teams had the best record in the ACC this year? Yeah, as of today, who are the 4 longest tenured head coaches in the ACC? Yeah, so do you think that's an accident? I mean, Dabo has done an amazing job at Clemson and won multiple national championships. David, NC State, has always had good teams and been very consistent. Pat, now this is his second time in 4 years winning, the Coastal. We've been to 6 straight bowl games, and we're playing for a conference championship. I don't know. Again, I think there's some lessons to be taken there that, if you feel you have the right person and they're doing things right, you're always better off giving them that extra year. And obviously that's a little self-serving. I mean, I'm not in that position anymore, been here 8 years. But if they're doing something right and you believe in them, I think you stick with them. And more often than not, I think that usually will pay off. And I think if you look at where the league standings are this year, I don't think that's coincidence.
I know we've asked you about the defense a few times this season, and it seems like every time it does come up, they do find ways to respond in the next performance. Just as far as coming off their performance against BC into this game, what kind of effect do you see that having on those guys?
I mean, it can't be the yo-yo, right? It's been the last, you'd say BC, great performance. Clemson, poor performance. North Carolina State, a much stronger performance than the score would indicate because of the kick returns. North Carolina, poor performance. So it's just, let's do it 2 weeks in a row. That if you look at us defensively over the last 3 or 4 years, this season we've probably had 5 of our best performances and 3 or 4 of our worst. We haven't really played an average defensive game. We've been really good or we've been really bad. And, part of it is the offense you play against. We're not going to shut Pitt out or shut them down. I mean, they're averaging 43 points a game and, over 500 yards. So what is good defense this week? It's, if you can hold a team like that below their averages and can get more stops in their defense, that would be a good performance. I think we're capable of doing it, but it's not going to be easy. And again, Pitt has it all. Unbelievable quarterback, really well coached, physical, older O-line, skilled guys and good backs. So there's not a matchup there that you say, hey, well, this one, we're going to have to play well across the board.
David, obviously when you have a quarterback and an offense that puts up numbers, a lot of numbers are going to be great, but your third down conversion percentage is like 7th in FBS. Is there a way to coach that part of it in terms of making sure you execute just right on the critical down to keep the chains moving that can explain the success y'all had?
Well, I think we have a really good O-line that's well coached. They're smart. And so in third down, that's what you call the film study down. That's when you get the exotic blitzes and the disguised coverages because people, for the most part, don't have to defend the run. And so, the ability to pick up pressures for the quarterback to read coverage, and then ultimately you got to win matchups and throw a good ball and catch it. And that's where when you have an older quarterback that can see coverages and see rotations, when you've got really smart offensive linemen like Michael Juergens and Zach Tom and Sean McGinn and Loic and Devo, and then you're good on the perimeter. I mean, we don't care if the ball goes to Torian or Jacory or Taylor or Donald or Chap or Blake or where it goes. So that's, we're not forcing it to one person. We don't care where the ball goes, and when you can protect and you have a smart quarterback who's accurate and guys can get open, you need all of those things to be good on third down.
In basketball, a team hits a three and it can be like a momentum, a deflating moment for the other team. When you move the chains consistently, especially because the defense has been out a while, is there an emotional value to that in the course of momentum in a game where you can kind of, in addition to trying to physically wear a team down, maybe mentally do it?
Well, I would say for us, because we're a tempo offense, I really feel like we don't get going on offense until we make that first down, right? Because every drive starts, you're coming out and you're really a huddle, and then based on what you do on first down reacts to how you're going to handle second, and then you got, in the games that we've struggled, we've had 3 and outs. Just seems like whenever we can make a first down or 2 and get in a rhythm and we don't sub, and we hopefully don't let them sub, and then you try to wear them down and their guys get tired. It's always a good feeling when we make that first down.
We'll go to David on the Zoom.
Hey, Dave, first of all,
Hey.
I apologize for my colleague there. I sent him all the advanced analytics on how many fans you guys were going to bring. And you know how it is with the analytics. They never got behind it.
Well, I guess, David, in full disclosure, what number did you exactly send them?
I said 9,000 on the nose. We're going to be there. So
Oh.
that's, I don't know what that.
Well, actually, we're going to have over 20,000.
Okay, well, I said 9,000. It was the allotment required.
Yeah. Well, we sold those babies out. Now Ticketmaster, if you own stock in Ticketmaster, the Deeks are making you some money this week.
I do own a little Live Nation stock and it's done well. But that's a conversation for another
Put it in your kid's 529, David. It grows, and the next thing you know, you got 2 semesters paid for.
So I wanted to ask you, Sam has talked a lot this year about his focus on his own mental health after the bowl game last year and realizing, to be at the top of the game, it's not just about preparing physically, but preparing yourself mentally too. And I wonder how you've seen that maybe manifest itself throughout this year in the way that he's handled himself from week to week or throughout a game that maybe would be a little bit different than you might have seen in past years with him.
His consistency, his work ethic, his mood, his practice habits, his ability to overcome a bad play. I really felt that there was a point this season, and it was in the Louisville game, that he threw a really bad pick in the fourth quarter. And I think in years past, I don't know if he or we could have come back from that. And his reaction to the pick was great. Coach, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. We're good. And then the very next drive, he led us down to a touchdown. The very drive after that, he led us down to a game-winning field goal. And I think when we don't start out great on offense, in the past, I think that would have affected the second, the third, the fourth series. Even the BC game, we didn't get off to a great start, and he just stayed in the game. And then he ended up making a lot of big throws, a lot of big runs. And so I just think his ability to overcome maybe not a great start or a bad decision or a bad read, it doesn't affect the next play, the next series, the next quarter. And that's what a quarterback has to do. We're going to play against good defenses that, they're going to make plays. And if you get frustrated by it and force things, then you become your own worst enemy. And he no longer does that.
He was saying, too, that obviously his leadership role is so critical on the team, and that he's sort of realized as he's trying to get better, taking care of his own mental health and approach and all of that being a good leader within the team is more than just talking football with his teammates and making sure that they're out at workouts and blitz and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Sam has such a high standard of himself, and I think there was a tendency that he only wanted to interact with the guys that had that same drive and desire. And so like a guy like Michael Juergens or Zach Tom that is really driven, Sam was good with. If guys didn't put everything into it, Sam would get frustrated with them. And I think this year he said, hey, you know, those guys that maybe aren't over the line or aren't in the boat yet, part of my job is to get them over the line and into the boat. And I think Torian Perry is a great example of that Torian was very inconsistent here. And, you know, in terms of sometimes throwing up, you know, in the summer and throwing, you know, I don't know how much time those guys spent together. And I think Sam really took it on himself of, hey, I'm going to help him get there. And he did the same with Donald Stewart. And he did the same with Keyshawn Williams. And I think those guys have all improved and are performing better because they feel like they have a relationship with their quarterback and that their quarterback invested time in them, not just as football players, but as people.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, how come you have your, you're not live? You just have this picture. Somehow I don't think you're wearing a tie and a button-down shirt right now.
I'm wearing a pullover in my truck outside of my kid's ballet class.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm glad that I'm covered.
All right, well, if you could get your colleagues some of our ticket sales and bowl numbers, we certainly appreciate that.
I'm going to remind them that I work there, and then I will pass along that data.
Okay.
Dave, can I ask a follow-up about third down? So Pitt, conversely, is one of the best at getting off the field on third down. And is there a certain element that they're good at on third down beyond just being a good defense that you've noticed on film?
Well, they have a completely different third down package. They have a sub package, and they run exotic blitzes and coverages, and you know that's where they create something a little bit new every week. And so it's really well thought out. They do a great job of attacking protections, of matching routes. You know, and when you get a team in third and long, it's a lot easier to play defense when you don't have to defend the run as much. You don't have to defend the RPOs. You know, when teams become one-dimensional, they're always easier to defend. So their third down packages, they do a great job with it. I mean, they figure out your protections and your slides and who the back has, and it's really well thought out.
Dave, with AT, and I know you've talked about his confidence before. It seems like that's probably been a personality trait for him. You know,
Probably from birth, yeah.
yeah, so when he's a young guy, is there a benefit to that confidence? And I'm sure there are some times where the confidence is difficult for you when you're dealing with somebody young, but how did that factor into his early days here?
Well, I think when he first got here, he had false confidence that he certainly had ability, and he was big and fast and could catch the football. And it took him a while to really grasp how important it is to know the offense, or how to get released, or how to read what the coverage is, and the route conversions. You know, I think he was just used to, hey, throw it up to me and I'll go get it. And he's embraced the details of being a good football player. And he's still getting better at it. He's certainly not a finished product, and he still needs work to do. He's very talented, very gifted. He's working at it. He's getting better every week. And I still think another offseason, he still is not close to his ceiling of how good of a football player he can be.
Dave, you referenced their physical side, and Narduzzi talked about guys throwing their bodies around. They seem to be pretty proud of that. Did it show up to a greater degree on film than most? Is there anybody you compare them to?
Oh, I think,
Expect a lot of that?
you know, whenever you're a big pressure team and you blitz a lot, you know, to me it's a little bit like Clemson. You know, when Skalski comes off the edge, I mean, it's, and they, the same way, when they're very good at blitzing because they do it so much. So yeah, they play with that reckless abandon that defensive coaches want their players to play with, and yet they're schematically, they don't do too much, and that allows their players to play really fast. Their guys know the defense. They know with every call where they're exposed, where the holes are, and their ability to rally. You know, when you guess right and you get it where it hits the weakness, their ability to rally and get the thing down and make it second or third down is excellent. They just play so fast.
Does that lead to extracurricular stuff when guys are banging each other a little bit more? Is there a chance of that?
Yeah, it's football, right? So whenever you threw some of that chin music, right, you knew there'd be something coming back. So, yeah, it's football. Those things happen in every game. But, you know, I mean, I'm sure, you know, Pat is you know, doesn't want his guys getting personal fouls and penalties. And, you know, you play through the echo of the whistle, and our guys will do the same thing.
Coach, for you, you know, the guys that get recognized as all ACC, seeing where they've come from and how hard they've worked from spring to now, is it special for you to see those guys get that recognition?
Yeah, really proud of them. How many of our guys that came for an extra year got that honor? So I think it goes back to why we redshirt, how we develop players. You know, to see Luke Masterson or Jasir Taylor or Travion Red or Miles Fox or Brandon Chapman, and those guys that all came back for that extra year, and then for the first time in their careers, now they're all conference players. And so I think it shows to the rest of the team, you know, there's value in the struggle. To not one of those guys did it come easy. And this is their 5th or 6th year, and they're being recognized for the first time ever because of all the work they put in. So I think it's a great example for the rest of our younger players that these are our best players, and it didn't happen early for them. But through perseverance, hard work, loving football, they turned themselves into some of the very best players in the conference.
Coach, you were referencing the ticket allotment and the student advancement throughout the season. And just with the ticket allotment selling out, is there a level of excitement just knowing that you go down to Charlotte and there's going to be a really big crowd of gold and black out there cheering for the team?
Absolutely. I want this to be, I want to have a home field advantage. You know, one of our advantages is we're a little closer than Pittsburgh. They got a passionate fan base too. You know, 30 years, 40 years ago, I was part of that fan base. You know, I said earlier, my dad went to the University of Pittsburgh, is from Western Pennsylvania, and going to Pitt games as a kid, I know that that's a passionate fan base too. But we have a little advantage of being closer. You know, it's a night game, so I certainly people enjoy the tailgate. I think it's critical that our fans win the tailgate before we try to win the football game. But be polite.
Are there any specifics you can tell us for player availability? Is this a week when everybody that can play will play?
Next question. I mean, I'm not going to share anything that's going to help them. So anybody who can go will go. How's that? All right, ready, break. Thank you.